At the beginning of the story, we see a man thrust his blade at our protagonist. Our protagonist called the man's thrust a perfect stab. He realized that this was the 17th time he was seeing the technique. The guy closed his eyes and allowed the sword to stab him. As the man spat out some blood, he realized that this was his 17th death, as his body slowly fell to the ground. Our protagonist contemplated on what his life would have been like if he had wielded his sword with more efforts. The soldier pulled out his sword and walked away from our boy. Our protagonist fell to the ground and was covered in his blood. Before losing consciousness, Encrid wondered if he would have survived if he had worked a bit harder. The moment our boy died, he got transported to another realm. In this realm, we see a mysterious being in a boat holding a lantern. The moment our boy opened his eyes, the mysterious being asked him if he really thinks that he can change his fate if he worked harder. The entity asked our boy to keep struggling. He told him that he will soon give up after he faces a wall that he cannot overcome. Our boy grit his teeth in anger. He did not like what he was hearing. The scene shifts and we see someone slamming a huge spoon on a pot. This was done in order to wake the soldiers of the camp. Encrid opened his eyes when he heard the sound of the pot. When he raised his head up, a man next to him was surprised. The man referred to our boy as squad commander. The man who was trying to put on his shoes was surprised to see that his commander woke up early. Our boy turned to the man who he calls Rim and told him that there are bugs in his boots. Rim was surprised to hear this. He immediately shook the boots. To his surprise, a bug came out of his boots. Rim crushed the bug with his leg. After killing the bug, the man asked his commander if he was the one who put the bugs in his boots. He believed that his commander was trying to play a stupid prank on him. Our boy asked Rim to shut up. He told the man that he saw the bug crawl into his boot. Our boy turned to see the bug. He realized that this was the 18th time he was seeing the insect. As he walked out of his tent, Encrid wondered if he will be able to end his loop if he sees the corpse of the bug for a few more times. Encrid has been wielding a sword since he was young. He learned his swordsmanship from a retired mercenary who coincidentally came to his village. After managing to overpower his teacher told him that he is good enough to become a knight. This word shocked Encrid. He began to dream of himself as a knight. In this world, a knight is a person who can slay 1,000 people by himself. He could even alter the dynamics of a battlefield. A knight is an invincible hero. Encrid believed that he would become a knight that ends wars. He wanted people to refer to him as the Knight of the End. Our boy saw himself as one of the protagonists which the wandering minstrel sang about. He decided to leave his village and chase after his dream. The scene shifts and we see a bunch of men in a pub. While drinking, the men laughed about the newbie who was scared of a mere stray dog even though he wanted to be a knight. With a smile on his face, a man with red hair looked over to Encrid and told him that he is not even good enough to become a free mercenary. While the men were laughing at him, Encrid slowly tightened his bandages. After our boy left his village and joined the mercenary corps, he realized that his talent was nothing special. Although Encrid realized that he was not talented, he was not willing to give up because of some setbacks. He believed that his hard work will never betray him. Our boy continued to train hard. He believed that with time and effort, he will be able to overcome all his problems. Encrid spent his time training and gaining experience. He gained the strength and endurance that allowed him to be acknowledged by those around him. Encrid was certain that he could become a knight. Unfortunately for the young man, his strong hope was shattered when he lost a duel. In the village which Encrid was staying at, a child requested for a duel. The boy was 12 years old and he only started swordsmanship 6 months ago. With a look of disappointment on his face, the little boy told Encrid that he is quite weak. Our boy could not believe what was happening. He had spent a decade wielding his sword to the point where his palms were wrecked, and yet he still lost to a genius who only started his journey 6 months ago. As the boy walked away, Encrid wondered if all his efforts were in vain. Our boy did not want to accept his fate. Instead of giving up, Encrid wielded his sword with more determination. He did not care if anyone belittled him. He did not care that people called his dream a hopeless thing. Encrid did not focus on what people said. He reduced his sleeping and eating time. He only focused on swinging his sword. Our boy swung his sword endlessly. He believed that one day, he would achieve his goal. After swinging his sword for a while, Encrid took a look at the tree he was swinging at. The young man realized that he had not made any real improvements. Our boy picked up his sword and swung it again. He realized that he could never become a knight. He decided to become a good soldier. Encrid screamed out when he came upon this realization. He did not like the fact that he had to settle for less. 3 years later, we see that our boy has joined the Cyprus Division. The Cyprus Division has 4 companies. Below the 4 companies are the 4 platoons. Below the platoons are the 4 squads. Encrid became the squad commander of a so-called second-rate squad. This was the best position that our boy could achieve after his endless training. While Encrid did not like his life, it was still much beneficial for him to be a soldier than a traveling mercenary. The scene shifts and we are taken back to the present. After Encrid stepped out of the tent, he sees one of his members. He called out to a man known as Jackson. The man turned to his commander and asked him about what he needs. Encrid asked Jackson to do his morning duty rotation for today. The man glared at our boy when he heard this. He stood up and asked his commander to repay him next time. Rem was annoyed to see how Jackson stared at our boy. He called the man a wicked bastard. Encrid called out to Rem. The man asked his commander if he has something he wants to make him do. With a serious look on his face, our boy asked Rem to teach him the heart of the beast. Rem was surprised to hear this. With a smug look on his face, the man reminded his commander that he gave up on learning it the last time. He asked Encrid to tell him why he believes that he will be able to learn it today. After receiving his lesson from Rem, the Nalilia versus Aspen close combat battle began. As usual, our boy was killed in battle. He returned to the same day and relived the day over again. Although Encrid was able to learn the heart of the beast from Rem, he is still unable to see the tip of the sword that stabs him. In his 21st regression, our boy had completely memorized the repetitive situation. While he was beating up an enemy soldier, a soldier tried to stab him with a spear. Encrid was barely able to dodge the spear. The moment he dodged the attack, he used his shield to block the attack from another soldier behind him. After blocking the attack, our boy looked at a soldier next to him. The soldier's name is Vel and he is from another squad. Encrid remembered that Vel was going to die soon. While the soldier was fighting, someone shot an arrow at him. Our boy moved behind Vel and used his shield to block the arrow. Vel turned his head when he heard the sound of the arrow hitting Encrid's shield. While the soldier was distracted, an enemy tried to attack him from above. Before the man was able to land his attack, our boy used his sword to cut off his head. In his last life, Vel died immediately after he blocked the arrow. Encrid was happy to see that he was able to achieve his first goal. After achieving his goal, our boy turned to see his next variable. He saw his biggest obstacle in the battlefield. The soldier had just finished killing one of our boy's comrades. The man took out his sword and turned to our boy. Encrid was annoyed with the fact that he will always face the insane soldier without fail. As the soldier walked towards him, our boy took a stance. He reflects on the fact that this man has killed him 20 times. He decided to change his fate in this regression. With a smile on his face, the man rushed to attack our boy. As the man ran towards him, Encrid remembered what Rem said to him when he was teaching him. While swinging his axe, Rem told our boy that he always closes his eyes anytime he is in a dangerous situation. Immediately Rem said this. He swiftly moved his axe to his commander's neck, and as he expected, our boy closed his eyes. Rem told Encrid that he will die immediately if he keeps closing his eyes in the battlefield. He explained to our boy that he needs to be brave and become less agitated. He asked Encrid to become a bastard who does not know anything about death. Our boy was surprised to hear this. With a horrifying look on his face, Rem asked his commander to become a beast. The scene shifts and we are taken back to the present. As the soldier thrust his sword at Encrid, our boy opened his eyes widely. He wondered if he is afraid of death. He believed that death was meant to make him stronger. Encrid carefully moved to the side and barely managed to dodge the attack. The moment he dodged the attack, our boy's heart began to beat faster. The soldier could not believe that Encrid actually dodged his stab. Encrid was happy to see that he finally managed to dodge the attack on his 21st try. The soldier turned to our boy and changed his stance. Encrid also turned around and got ready to attack the man. Before our boy's sword could reach his enemy, the man used his sword to stab him in the neck. Encrid grit his teeth as blood gushed out of his neck. In the next scene, our boy finds himself in the other world. The mysterious being asked him to stop his pain. He asked him to get in the boat. He told Encrid that he needs to acknowledge his weak self and be at ease. While on his knees, Encrid told the being that he cannot accept such a fate. With a smile on his face, our boy called the mysterious being a useless bastard and told him that he will never give up. Encrid was satisfied with the fact that he had made progress. He was now able to see the soldier's sword, and he could now dodge the attack. In the next scene, our boy returned to the same day and he saw Rim by his side. Encrid decided to challenge the battle again for the 22nd day. In the next scene, we see our boy fighting for his 33rd time. At this point, Encrid can now see and clearly dodge the attack. The only problem our boy was facing was that he is not able to dodge the next attack because the soldier is too fast. The man stabbed Encrid in the neck. Our boy's necklace got cut off when he was stabbed and his body fell to the ground. His necklace had a very unique charm on it. In his time as a mercenary, Encrid took on a few requests to subjugate monsters. In his travels, Encrid stumbled upon a village where he was asked for help. Our boy was asked to subjugate some monsters. Although Encrid was not compelled to help, he helped the village because of his dream. Our boy believed that it is a knight's responsibility to protect the weak. After taking care of the monsters, the head of the village gave our boy something else instead of money. He told Encrid that their village is poor and the item is all they have. When our boy looked at his hand, he noticed that the village head gave him a charm. Encrid was surprised to see the charm. At the time, our boy thought that the charm was a laughable reward for his mission. The head of the village told Encrid that the charm will grant him whatever he desperately prays for. As his eyes slowly closed, our boy wondered if the charm was making the day repeat in order to allow him become a knight. While Encrid was on the ground, the soldier walked up to him. He asked our boy if he is in pain. Encrid tried to push himself up when he heard the man's question. The man raised his sword and told our boy that he will grant him some mercy. Encrid looked up and glared at the soldier when he heard this. Our boy knew that the soldier does not care about mercy. He believed that the soldier was simply an insane person who enjoys stabbing people. With a disturbing smile on his face, the man used his sword to kill Encrid. In the next scene, Encrid woke up to his 34th regression. He told Rim that he kept a bug in his boots. Rim quickly shook his boot to see if his commander was joking. To his surprise, there was actually a bug in his boot. The man was annoyed to see the bug. He asked his commander to tell him why he is playing such a prank on the battle day. He asked Encrid if he has finally lost his mind. Our boy asked his teammate to shut up. He asked Rim to step outside. He told the man that he wants to learn the heart of the beast. Rim was surprised to hear this. The scene shifts and we see Rim attack his commander with his axe. Encrid kept his eyes open and carefully dodged Rim's attack. Rim was shocked to see this. The man took away his axe and asked Encrid to tell him why the skin of his heart was suddenly much thicker. Our boy told his teammate that he has been training. Rim was surprised to hear this. He told our boy that the skill cannot be learnt so quickly. Fortunately for Encrid, this was the 10th time he was learning the technique. It did not make sense to Rim that his commander was able to learn his family's secret technique. The man's suspicion was correct. Our boy learnt the technique thanks to his numerous deaths. Encrid picked up his sword and told Rim that he might have learnt the technique from somewhere else. Our boy asked his teammate to not focus on things that are not important. Encrid picked up his sword and took a stance. He asked Rim to spar with him again. The man decided to not pry further. He was quite excited to spar with his commander. Although the heart of the beast is a good technique, it will still be useless if the user cannot land an attack. Encrid decided to focus on improving his swordsmanship. Rim swung his axe at our boy. Encrid was able to dodge the attack because he kept his eye open. He began to dodge all the attacks that Rim threw at him. With a smile on his face, Rim asked his commander to stop dodging and face him directly. Immediately he said this, he swung his axe at our boy's face. Encrid was barely able to dodge the attack. Rim managed to land a cut on his face. The moment Encrid dodged the attack, he realized that the only sword technique he knows is the Valen mercenary sword technique. It is an anomalous technique made by a mercenary known as Valen. It is a sword technique which most people call a petty trick. While Encrid was thinking, Rim rushed to attack him. The man told his commander that his lower body strength is very weak. The moment Encrid heard this, he realized that he knew a decent sword technique. Our boy took a new stance. Rim was shocked to see this. Encrid thrust his sword the same way the insane soldier does. Unfortunately for him, Rim is able to block the attack. The man knocked the sword out of our boy's hand. The moment his sword fell off his hand, Encrid realized that he imitated the same stab as the insane soldier. Since our boy had died to the technique several times, his body vividly remembered it. Rim told his commander that the stab he used is the most decent technique he has used so far. He swung his axe to show Encrid the right step he needs to take when using the technique. The man told his commander that his hands need to bleed for him to perfectly use the technique. Rem explained to our boy that he is too doubtful of himself. He told him that he is always wondering about what he will do if an attack fails or is blocked. The man raised his axe and told his commander that he needs to think that his attack will kill his opponent. Rem explained to Encrid that he will grip his sword tightly if he believes in himself. Our boy was surprised to hear this. Although Rem's explanation was poor, Encrid understood what he was saying. The scene shifts and we see our boy at the battle. The moment Encrid was stabbed in the neck by the soldier, he realized that the difference between his stab and the soldier's stab is that he does not have any confidence in his sword. The moment our boy fell to the ground, the soldier offered him some mercy by stabbing him in the neck before he died. Encrid realized that he must stab with the intent to kill. In his next life, we see our boy training with Rem. The man knocks his sword out of his hand. At the battlefield, we see the soldier smiling as he was about to grant our boy his mercy. Although Encrid continued losing, he did not falter. He was satisfied with improving himself, even if it is just a tiny improvement. Even after reaching his 123rd regression, Encrid did not lose hope in himself. He grit his teeth and continued to push forward. On his 124th day, our boy finally used his stab to push Rem back. When Rem looked at his commander's face, he noticed something odd. He asked Encrid if he is crazy. He reminded our boy that his hands are bleeding heavily because they are worn out. Although Encrid was in a bad shape, Rem could not comprehend why he was laughing like a crazy person. Our boy was happy to see that he had finally mastered the stab of the perverted soldier. In the next scene, we see Encrid scream out as he charged towards the insane soldier. In this regression, our boy rushed to attack with pure murderous intent. Encrid thrust his sword at the soldier's head. Unfortunately for him, his attack was blocked by the man's helmet. The soldier used his technique on our boy. He managed to stab Encrid in the neck as usual. Our boy grit his teeth as blood gushed out of his neck. This was Encrid's first attempt at using the stab in the battlefield. Although he failed, our boy was not willing to give up. He opened his eyes and gripped his sword so that he would get used to the technique. When Encrid fell to the ground, the soldier placed his leg on him. With a cocky smile on his face, the soldier told our boy that he looks terrible. The man raised his sword and told our boy that he is showing him mercy. Before the soldier could kill him, Encrid glared at him. He told the man that he is going to die the next time. Our boy said this confidently because he had perfectly memorized the clashes that they had and he knew about all the movements which the soldier would make. The man laughed when he heard what Encrid said. He told our boy that the dead have no tomorrow. Immediately he said this, he killed Encrid. The scene shifts and we see our boy crush the bug when it was still on the ground. He told Rem that he saw the bug trying to get into his boots. The man was surprised to hear this. He thanked his squad commander. With a serious tone in his voice, Encrid asked Rem to take his guard duty if he is thankful. The man was shocked to hear what his commander said. He did not understand why Encrid was casually ordering him around. Today marks our boy's 125th regression. When Encrid stepped out of his tent, he called out to a boy with red hair. He called the boy Big Eyes. Big Eyes was using a towel to dry his sweat. Encrid asked the boy to get him a shin armor, a shield, and a dagger. He told the boy that he will pay him later. Big Eyes did not like the fact that his commander wanted to pay him later. As Encrid walked away, the boy told him that he will give him the items because he trusts him. He reminded his squad commander that he does not do favors for everyone. Rem was surprised to see how our boy ordered Big Eyes. He did not understand why their commander was suddenly pushy with his orders. Jackson told Rem that Encrid must be annoyed because he has always pushed his duties to him. Rem was annoyed to hear this. He asked the man if he wants to taste his axe. The rest of Encrid's squad members came outside the tent after waking up. A very huge man who appears to be holding a cross prayed that Rem would receive blessings. Rem was not interested in what the man had to say. He was more focused on the fact that his commander was acting weird. He was certain that his squad commander has never acted so intense. The scene shifts and we see Encrid training. While swinging his sword at a tree, our boy thinks about the incredible amount of pain he feels every time he dies. He wondered about the fact that he might never win even after fighting the soldier thousands of times. Encrid contemplates on the fact that he might be able to find a way to escape the battle and survive. Our boy realized that he is stronger now than before. He wondered if he should be satisfied with his current self. Unfortunately, his current self was not enough for him. Encrid wanted more. He wanted to gain the strength to surpass his current wall. As our boy thrust his sword at the tree, he assured himself that he would learn how to stab. As his sword split the tree apart, Encrid assured himself that he will make use of the blessing he has been given. The scene shifts and we see Encrid wear his shin armor and carry his shield, with a serious look on his face. Our boy assured himself that he will keep moving forward. In the next scene, we see some soldiers blow some horns to alert the other soldiers. Encrid and his squad members picked up their weapons and entered the battlefield. As Encrid tore through his enemies, he realized that 3 things have allowed someone like him to survive in this battle. These 3 things are preparation, luck, and a cool head. In our boy's 46th regression, his left shoulder was shattered by a spiked mace. On his 47th day, he rolled on the ground to dodge the attack. Unfortunately for him, someone ended up cutting his head. In his current regression, Encrid used his shield to block the mace and used his sword to cut off the head of the enemy. On his 71st day, a soldier down low cut off his leg. Our boy could not defend himself when the insane soldier came to kill him. In his current regression, Encrid used his shin armor to block the soldier's attack. He smacked his shield on his neck and broke it. On his 89th day, our boy's head was split open by an axe someone threw at him. Encrid was able to dodge the axe. He decided to kill the man because he knew that the man would interfere in his fight with the insane soldier if he lets him live. Our boy took out his dagger and threw it directly at the soldier's head. Encrid was able to easily take out his target because he had practiced throwing weapons during his countless regressions. After taking out the soldier, our boy turned to see Vel. He moved behind his comrade and used his shield to block the arrow. The person who shot at Vel is an archer known as Claw of the Hawk. Unfortunately, our boy did not have the time to take out the archer. He immediately beheaded the soldier who tried to kill Vel. After killing the man, it was now time for Encrid to face his biggest obstacle. The soldier pulled out his sword from an enemy and walked towards our boy. When he got close to Encrid, the soldier swung his sword at him. Our boy immediately used his shield to block the heavy attack. The moment he blocked the attack, our boy threw away his shield because it was ruined. After going through many regressions, Encrid came to the realization that he cannot survive by relying solely on his ability to dodge and stab. The moment he threw away his shield, our boy ran to the soldier. The man immediately attacked Encrid again. Our boy used his sword to block the attack. The soldier was surprised to see this. He assumed that Encrid was coming to attack him. Instead, our boy was blocking his attack. After many regressions, Encrid realized that this man is a regular soldier who is quite strong. He is almost at the level of a prodigy. Although he was strong, the soldier lacked real fighting experience, so he easily gets surprised. Our boy realized that the Valen mercenary sword technique would be perfect against the soldier. He used his head to headbutt the man. The soldier stepped back when he got hit in the head. Encrid used his leg to throw sand into the soldier's eyes. He wanted to block his sight. The moment our boy did this, he rushed to attack the man. Unfortunately for him, the man quickly regained his sight. He raised his sword and thrust it at Encrid. Our boy easily dodges the attack. The man's attack moved him away from Encrid. The soldier immediately turned around and used his stab again. Our boy also took a stance and used the stab technique. Unfortunately for the soldier, Encrid had learned everything about the stab. Our boy used his sword to break the soldier's sword. Immediately he broke the sword. Someone shot an arrow at him. The soldier was shocked to see what happened. He could not believe that Encrid actually managed to break his sword. While the man was lost in shock, Encrid took a stance. He realized that he had won. As our boy took a stance, the arrow came closer to him from behind. Fortunately for Encrid, someone threw an axe at the arrow and completely destroyed it, without knowing what was happening behind him. Our boy used his sword to stab the insane soldier in the neck. It turns out that the person who threw the axe was Rem, with a look of anger on his face. Rem said that he will kill the Claw of the Hawk. While tearing apart his opponent, Jackson asked Rem to not waste his time. He told him that it is too late. As blood gushed out of his neck, the insane soldier looked at Encrid with a look of shock. The soldier fell to his knees. While doing his best to catch his breath, Encrid took a look at the man. Our boy raised his sword and told the man that he is granting him mercy. Immediately he said this, Encrid cut off the soldier's head. When he cut off the bastard's head, our boy smiled. He had finally broken through the wall. While Encrid was smiling, something kicks him from behind. Our boy fell and rolled on the ground. While he was on the ground, Encrid screamed out in pain. His back felt like it was broken. Jackson and Rem turned to our boy when they heard his voice. Rem was shocked to see the thing that kicked his commander. This being had a humanoid structure and a multicolored body. It had 3 fingers and webbed feet. Rem referred to the being as a frog. While Encrid was trembling on the ground, the frog took a look at the dead soldier. He told our boy that he invested a bit in the soldier. The frog could not believe that the man lost to someone like Encrid. Our boy grit his teeth and glared at the frog when he heard this. The frog took out his sword and tried to behead our boy before his blade could touch Encrid. Rem used his axe to block the attack. The moment he blocked the attack, he rushed to attack the frog. The creature immediately used his sword to defend himself. With a smile on his face, Rem began to exchange blows with the creature. He and the frog attacked each other at a crazy speed. While Rem was preoccupied, one of the enemy soldiers tried to stab Encrid with his spear. Before the man's spear could touch our boy, Jackson appeared out of nowhere and cuts off the soldier's head. While fighting, Rem and the frog pushed each other back. With a smile on his face, Rem told the creature that he needs his permission before he can cut off their commander's head. The frog was shocked to hear this. He could not believe that a weakling like Encrid was the commander instead of Rem. The frogs are a warrior race that is born to fight. Rem realized that the only way for him to kill the frog is to burn it with magic or to pierce its heart in one strike. The man did not like his options. The frog did not understand what was going on. He could not comprehend the reason why someone as skilled as Rem would be in a trivial battle. While looking at the man's stance, the frog realized that he would have to risk his life if he wants to defeat Rem. The frog did not believe that the battle was worth it. He turned around and walked away. Rem was annoyed to see the frog walking away. He called it a coward. Jackson carried his commander on his back and rushed out of the battlefield. On his way out, a soldier tries to attack him with a mace. Rem cuts off the soldier's head before he could land his attack. Another enemy tries to attack Jackson from the side. Unfortunately for him, he is crushed by the huge member of the squad. As more soldiers surrounded them, Encrid's squad members gathered around him and tore the soldiers apart. The men were determined to get their commander out of the battlefield. While everything was happening, our boy could barely keep his eyes open. While he was struggling to stay awake, the soldiers of Cyprus were asked to retreat. Upon hearing this, Encrid closed his eyes. The scene shifts and we see our boy in the mysterious realm. He was under the lantern of the mysterious being. The entity told Encrid that he only managed to survive for a day. He assured our boy that he will not be able to withstand the other walls that will come his way. The mysterious being revealed to Encrid that his fate is to despair and give up. Our boy found the word fate to be a funny thing. He stood up and told the mysterious being that walls exist for a reason. With a look of determination on his face, Encrid told the being that walls exist for him to overcome. The mysterious being smiled when he heard this. He told Encrid that he is eagerly waiting for the day when his eyes, which are filled with greed and ambition, will completely lose their light. The moment the being said this, our boy returned to the real world. When he opened his eyes, Encrid saw his entire body covered in bandages. When he looked up, he saw a lantern above him. The person next to him told him that he is in the infirmary. This person turns out to be Rem. The man told his commander that he has been asleep for 2 days. He reminded Encrid that he saved him from a frog. As our boy slowly rose up, he felt some pain in his chest. Encrid could not believe that he was attacked by a frog. He was more amazed by the fact that he survived. Rem explained to his commander that his bones are not broken. He told our boy that his head was badly shaken. He asked Encrid if he remembers that he is his best friend forever. Our boy called Rem a noble hunter and told him that he has never called him a friend. The moment Encrid said this, Rem covered his mouth and asked him to shut up. He looked around the infirmary to see if any other person was awake. The man warned our boy to not blurt out the secret of others simply because he has nothing to do with the person. Encrid decided to tease the man. He asked Rem if he is his best friend or someone he has nothing to do with. He asked the man to pick a side. After Rem left the infirmary, our boy contemplates on the fact that he is experiencing a new day besides his usual regression. Encrid was happy to see that he made it out alive. In the next scene, we see the big-eyed boy whose name is Cries at the infirmary. Cries told his commander that he will have to pay back his money by threefold. The boy explained to Encrid that it cost him a lot to get a spot in the infirmary. Our boy was surprised to hear this. He also knew that something was off when he saw himself in the infirmary. It did not make sense to him that a normal soldier like himself would be allowed into the infirmary. Normally, regular soldiers tend to their wounds by themselves after a battle. Encrid asked Cries to tell him why he is never at the battlefield. Cries was surprised to hear this. The boy changed his expression. With a smile on his face, Kryes asked his commander to simply pay him back double the amount. The scene shifts and we see Jackson visit Encrid in the evening. While resting on his bed, our boy asked the man to tell him why he came to see him. Jackson threw something at our boy. As he walked towards the exit, he asked his commander to use the thing in the morning and evening. He told Encrid to not ask him where he got the thing from. When our boy opened the container Jackson gave him, he saw some ointment inside. Our boy immediately remembered that this was the same ointment that Jackson uses. He did not understand why the man would give him such a precious thing. He knew that Jackson hated sharing his personal items. After Jackson left, another member of the squad went to see Encrid. The man's name is Auden. Auden held his cross tightly and prayed for his commander. Our boy asked the man to leave. He told him that he is not dying. At night, Encrid stared at his ceiling. While looking up, our boy wondered about the reason why his teammates were taking turns to see him. It did not make sense to him because his squad members never bothered about him and did whatever they wanted. Encrid wondered if his teammates were actually worried about him. While our boy was thinking, someone eating an apple opens the curtain of the tent. The person was surprised to see Encrid. This person is Ragna, another member of our boy's squad. Ragna asked his commander about why he is in the infirmary. After receiving his answer, the boy closed the curtain and walked away. Encrid was not shocked to see that Ragna was not bothered. He knew that the boy did not care about anyone. The next day, we see our boy in the infirmary with two other soldiers. The first soldier is a platoon commander from another company. The man likes picking a fight with Encrid. The other soldier is someone who Encrid does not know. The man spends his time staring into space. The man seemed like a low-ranking soldier. Our boy did not understand how a common soldier was able to get into the infirmary while Encrid was staring at the man. Someone opens the curtain of the infirmary. The person had pointy ears and the person's sword was tied with a vine. The person turns out to be a beautiful elf woman. When the woman stepped into the tent, she asked for the commander of the 444th Squad. Encrid was surprised to hear this. He did not know why the woman would be looking for him. The platoon commander was surprised to see a fairy woman in the tent. The woman turned to him and asked him to tell her the group he belongs to. The man introduced himself as Vengeance. He told the fairy that he is the commander of the 3rd platoon in the 2nd company. With a serious look on her face, the woman asked Vengeance if he was taught to address his superior by their race in his company. The man looked down and apologized to the woman. Encrid was surprised to hear that the fairy is their superior. He realized that the woman is the new commander of the 4th company. Our boy decided to introduce himself to his new commander. He told her that he is the leader of the 4th squad of the 4th company. The woman told our boy that she is expecting him to have some contributions because he is leading a group containing difficult members. After saying this, she turned around and walked to the entrance. Encrid was surprised to see this. He could not believe that the commander visited them in order to greet them. Before walking out of the tent, the commander turned around. She asked the ordinary soldier for his name. The man was surprised to hear this. With a nervous look on his face, the man told the fairy that his name is Krang. Encrid was surprised to see how the man was acting. Anyone could tell that the man just made up the name. Our boy could not believe that the man was acting rude in front of the company commander. He wondered if the man is a noble. The woman simply glared at the man when she heard his name. She turned around and walked out of the tent. Encrid was surprised to see this. He could not comprehend what was happening. In the evening, we see our boy checking out his hand. Encrid noticed that he could now put strength into his body. Our boy realized that most of his pain is already gone. He decided to start training. While our boy was putting on his gear, Vengeance raised his head and asked him about where he is going. Encrid told the man that he is going to the training area. Vengeance laid on the bed and called our boy an idiot. He believed that Encrid was trying to act tough even though he is a low-ranking soldier. The scene shifts and we see our boy holding a sword as he took a stance. While standing, Encrid tried to remember his last battle. The method is one of the few useful things that our boy spent a lot of money on when he was younger. Encrid remembered how he killed the insane soldier with his stab. Our boy wondered about how the battle would have ended if his stab was not successful. He knew that it is not smart for him to put all his eggs in one basket. He knew that he had to get another skill because he will die if his stab fails to kill his opponents. Encrid remembered how Rem fought on the battlefield with his axe. He remembered how dangerous each one of the man's attack was. Our boy believed that it will be best for him to replicate something similar to Rem's attacks. While he was thinking, someone told him that he is working quite hard. When Encrid turned to his right, he saw Krang next to him. The man asked our boy to tell him what he is doing. He told Encrid that his hands were twitching in the tent. and now he is currently spacing out. Our boy explained to Krang that his hand was twitching because he was training his grip strength. He told him that he is currently trying to replicate the last battle. Krang asked Encrid to tell him why he is going through such stress. Our boy explained to him that he does not want to get killed. The man asked our boy if he plans to achieve something by preserving his life. Encrid glared at the man when he heard his question. Our boy did not want to say his dream out loud. He knew that people would laugh at him. It is a dream that could not be fulfilled with Encrid's poor talent. However, he did not stop desiring to accomplish it as the gentle breeze blew. Our boy raised his sword and told Krang that he wants to become a knight. The man was shocked to hear what our boy said. Encrid took a look at Krang after telling him his wish. He told the man that it is his first time seeing someone who did not laugh at his dream. The man stood up and told Encrid that he remembered something as he walked forward. Krang told our boy that he has understood what he has to do after speaking to him. The man turned around and called our boy friend. With a smile on his face, Krang asked Encrid to remember him when he becomes a knight. Our boy was surprised to hear this. This was the first time that someone has ever supported his dream. The next day, we see a wandering minstrel and men singing song about a hero. When Encrid woke up, he heard Vengeance complain about the fact that they had not yet gotten breakfast. The man wondered if the soldiers wanted to eat the good food and give them the scraps. After waking up, our boy took a short leisurely walk around the camp. While walking, he bumps into Jackson. The man asked his squad commander if he is getting better. Encrid revealed to Jackson that the ointment works well. He thanked the man for giving him some of his ointment. Jackson asked his commander to return to the squad if he is thankful. At night, we see Krang wish our boy a good night. Encrid also wished the man the same thing. Vengeance was surprised to see this. He told the men that they are acting crazy. Our boy went asleep after doing nothing the entire day. The next day, Encrid hears the wandering minstrel singing the same song with the men. Our boy woke up when he heard the song. He did not understand why the minstrel would return to their camp when he is a wanderer. While our boy was looking around, Vengeance complained about not receiving the morning rations again. Encrid did not understand why the man was complaining again. He remembered that Vengeance complained about the same thing yesterday. The moment he came upon this realization, our boy wondered if something had happened. He decided to confirm his suspicion. Encrid took a walk and bumped into Jackson like he did yesterday. The man asked our boy the same question. Encrid gave him the same answer and thanked him for the ointment. Just like yesterday, Jackson asked him to return to the squad if he is thankful. The moment Encrid heard the man's response, he became certain that he was reliving the same day. Our boy remembered that the mysterious being told him that he will face another wall that will stop him. The mysterious being asked our boy to do his best to survive. Encrid could not believe that he died while he was sleeping. This was terrifying to him because he died more hopelessly compared to the time he was stabbed. Even though he felt bad, our boy became more determined to overcome his current wall. He believed that he would be able to face this new challenge. At night, we see Encrid thinking while he was on the bed. Our boy wondered about the person who killed him and how the person was able to kill him. Encrid knew that any intruder would have to get through the camp's defense before reaching their tent. He believed that only knights could achieve such feats. Our boy quickly removed this idea from his head. He realized that his killer is a hidden assassin. He believed that the assassin must be among the soldiers. This is because the assassin knows the location of the medical barracks and they were able to conceal their presence. When Encrid thought about someone who would be skilled in assassinations, he remembered the commander of his company. Our boy knew that a fairy's quiet and nimble feet would be perfect for assassinations. He believed that the reason the woman came earlier was to figure out the location of the medical barracks beforehand. Encrid stared at the entrance. He wanted to confirm his suspicion. He decided to scream and alert the other soldiers once he sees the fairy. All our boy had to do was wait for the assassin. Unfortunately for him, someone stabbed him in the neck with a needle before he could move. Encrid was shocked to feel a poisonous needle on his neck. Our boy could not comprehend what was happening. He did not even see the assassin step into the tent. He quickly put his hand on his neck and tried to pull out the needle. While struggling, Encrid fell to the ground. Our boy could not even touch the needle, neither could he speak. He realized that the poison was a potent numbing poison. He understood that the reason he died the first time was because of the poison. When our boy looked up, he noticed that Vengeance had also been poisoned. The moment he turned to Krang, he saw the assassin next to him. The person raised their sword up and stabbed Krang in the chest. Our boy was shocked to see this. He grit his teeth in anger. The moment the assassin killed Krang, Someone wearing a hood cuts a part of the tent open with a blade. The other assassin turned when they saw this person. Our boy was shocked to see that there was another assassin. The other assassin had long ears and was holding a weapon wrapped in leaves. Encrid was surprised to see that his suspicion was true. He could not believe that the company commander was at the tent. The scene shifts and we see our boy return to the beginning of the day. Encrid could not believe that this was the third time he was waking up the same day. Our boy could not believe that he could not detect the assassin's presence even though he was staying alert. The worst part was that he still had to fight his company's commander. Encrid knew that even if he manages to defeat the assassin, it would be impossible for him to defeat his commander. Our boy felt helpless. He remembered that he had this same feeling a few days ago when he faced the insane soldier. Encrid reminded himself that he still managed to defeat the soldier. Our boy assured himself that he would find a way as long as he does not give up. The scene shifts and we see Encrid searching Vengeance's bed. The soldier was annoyed to see this. He told our boy that he is acting crazy. Encrid searched the man's bed because he believed that the assassin might have already infiltrated the base since morning. Unfortunately for him, he was wrong. Our boy decided to take his sword outside with him. He believed that he needed to be wary of everything. Vengeance was annoyed to see Encrid holding his sword. He asked our boy if his training is to catch cockroaches with his sword. With a smile on his face, the man told our boy that the training is fitting for low-life soldiers. Encrid turned around and thanked the man for caring about him. Vengeance was annoyed to hear this. He called our boy an idiot and told him that he was being sarcastic. Encrid did not know how to respond to the man because he was also being sarcastic. Vengeance asked our boy to leave the tent. He told him that he does not want to see his face. While the two were talking, Krang arrived at the entrance. The man was surprised to see that our boy and Vengeance were arguing again. He asked the two if he should return to the tent later. Encrid asked the man to come in. Vengeance laid back on his bed and called both our boy and Krang annoying bastards. Encrid watched Krang as he took care of his bedsheet. Due to how the assassins were observant of Krang, our boy could tell that he is their target. Encrid became more curious about Krang's true identity. Our boy did not want to dig into something that his opponent was not willing to tell him without asking. However, since he had already gotten involved in the assassination, Encrid believed that he needed to have some level of information. With a serious look on his face, our boy asked Krang to tell him what he is. This question surprised the man. Encrid did not know why the man was surprised. He wondered if he asked the question the wrong way. He wondered if his conversational skills were as poor as Rim's. Krang thought about how he was going to answer the question. Vengeance raised his head up when he saw Krang thinking. The man was also curious about Krang's identity. Krang told our boy that he cannot tell him his true identity. Encrid asked the man to tell him why. Krang revealed to him that his situation is quite complicated. Our boy did not know how to respond to this. He told the man that he understands. Vengeance was shocked to see this. He called Encrid a dumbass and told him that he should have never bothered to ask his question if he was going to accept such a poor answer. Vengeance turned to Krang and told him that he knows he is not from their country because of his manners. He pointed his finger at him and asked Krang to tell him which country's spy he is. Krang's expression changed when he heard this. His face became serious. Vengeance was shocked to see the look on the man's face. Krang walked up to Vengeance with a serious look on his face. The man told Vengeance that he has not and will never betray the kingdom. Encrid could tell that Krang was different when he looked into his eyes. The man had an aura like that of a knight. Vengeance immediately regained his composure. He asked Krang if he is allowed to speak to his higher-up rudely. With a smile on his face, Krang apologized to the man. Although Krang had the aura of a knight, Encrid could tell that he was not a knight because he would not have been powerless in front of a mere assassin. However, Krang was definitely hiding something important. At night, we see Krang wish our boy a good night. Encrid also wished him the same thing. To our boy's surprise, Vengeance did not say anything. Our boy realized that Vengeance was scared of Krang after what happened earlier. While thinking, Encrid stared at the entrance. He knew that they would all die if the assassins were to barge in. Our boy stood up and grabbed his sword. Vengeance was surprised to see this. He asked Encrid to tell him why he is not going to sleep. Our boy turned to the man and told him that assassins are going to barge into their tent very soon. He asked Vengeance to cooperate with him if he wants to live. Vengeance was surprised to hear this. He laid back down and told Encrid that he has lost his mind. Our boy was not surprised to hear this. He believed that this is the natural reaction anyone would have if they heard such a thing. While he was looking at Vengeance, Encrid heard someone ask about how he was able to know the plan. Our boy was shocked to hear this voice. He knew that it belonged to the assassin. Before he could take a step, the assassin sent a needle through the tent. The needle slit Encrid's throat. As he fell to the ground, our boy wondered about the time the assassin got into the base. The person also killed Vengeance with a needle and stabbed Krang in the chest like before. The scene shifts and we see our boy wake up to the song of the minstrel for the 4th time. Encrid realized that he will never know when the assassin get in and he cannot get Vengeance and Krang to assist him. He decided to inform his superiors in order to get reinforcement. Unfortunately for Encrid, he was quickly turned down. His superior asked him if he had gone insane. The man asked him to leave before he gets beaten up. At night, Encrid stood next to the tent. He decided to try to predict the moment the assassin will appear and scream before they start killing them. Our boy carefully watched the entrance. After calculating the time the assassins were going to appear, Encrid decided to scream. Unfortunately for him, he got stabbed in the throat before he could make a sound. After the assassin killed him, they ran into the tent and finished the job. Encrid realized that the assassin is too fast for him to handle. In his next regression, our boy decided to wait outside the tent in order to ambush and defeat the assassins before they do anything. Unfortunately for him, he was killed with another poisonous needle. Our boy did not think of the fact that he could not fight an enemy that he could not see. In his next regression, Encrid stood directly in front of the entrance. However, this did not change his fate. Our boy got stabbed with the poison needle from behind. As long as Encrid could not see the poison needle, he will continue to die without being able to do anything. The scene shifts and we see Encrid wake up to his 20th regression. Our boy could not believe that this was his 20th time dying without being able to do anything. However, this was not enough to break Encrid's spirit. Our boy smiled and reminded himself that he has only died a mere 20 times. While walking around the base, Encrid realized that he needed to first find a way to avoid the poison needle. He decided to think of a way to defeat the assassins after he has dealt with the needle. Our boy realized that the person who would best know a way to avoid the attacks faster than the assassin can see is Jackson. While staring at Jackson from afar, Encrid remembered what Rem told him about the man. Our boy asked Rem to tell him why he always calls Jackson a perverted wild cat. Rem revealed to his commander that Jackson is a dirty pervert bastard. He explained to our boy that Jackson never tries to fight his enemies head-on. Instead, he stabs them from behind and runs off. Rem told his commander that only a cunning and perverted wild cat behaves that way. The scene shifts and we are taken back to the present. Encrid walked up to Jackson. The man was surprised to see his commander. He asked him about the state of his injuries. Our boy knew that someone like Jackson could easily take care of the assassin. However, he could not take the man into his tent because he did not have the power to do so. More importantly, Encrid believed that this was a wall that only he must climb. Our boy decided to become Jackson. With a serious look on his face, Encrid asked Jackson to tell him how to stop someone like him from stabbing him from behind. Jackson was surprised to hear this question. With a deadly look in his eyes, the man told his commander that he does not know what to do. He explained to Encrid that no one has ever survived his ambushes. Our boy was shocked to hear this. Jackson could tell that his commander was being serious. He let out a sigh to show his frustration. He explained to Encrid that he needs eyes at the back of his head. Our boy did not understand what he was saying. He asked him to explain what he means. Jackson asked him to take a look at a wagon. Encrid did not see any wagon around him. The man told him that he is talking about the wagon behind the tents. When our boy looked behind the tents, he saw a man pushing the wagon. He did not understand how Jackson was able to notice something so far away. He wondered if the man truly had eyes at the back of his head. Jackson told his commander that the wagon is going to fall apart. Immediately he said this. One of the wheels of the wagon loosened. This caused the wagon to destabilize and fall apart. Encrid was shocked to see this. He asked Jackson if he is a prophet. Jackson asked his commander if he has spent too much time with the barbarian. Encrid asked him to not joke around. He asked him to tell him how he knew the wagon was going to fall apart. Jackson placed his hand on his ear and revealed to his commander that he was able to know what would happen because of sound. He explained to Encrid that he heard a creaking sound from the wagon's axle. With a serious look on his face, Jackson told his commander that a person can predict what is going to happen next if they can hear what is around them. Encrid could not believe that Jackson actually heard the quiet creaking sound. He could not even hear when the wagon came close. Jackson explained to him that he does not need to see to sense what is around him. He asked our boy to try to listen to the things around him as practice. He asked him to hone his senses and to isolate the sounds. The man stood up when he said this. Encrid told him that his explanation was quite good. He told him that he seemed too lazy to respond before. Jackson assured his commander that he is a lazy person. He explained to him that he actually prefers to explain than to have him on his heels. He told Encrid that he does not look like someone who will give up easily. At night, we see our boy in the tent. While pretending to sleep, he tells himself that he has now gotten a second wall. The wall came in the form of a faceless death. Encrid believed that he can live if he sensed the assassin. Our boy began to focus on the sounds around him. He heard the footsteps of the soldiers that patrol. He also heard the sound of the torches. While he was listening, the assassin landed in the camp. His footsteps were quite light. Our boy was not able to sense him. He knew that this was the time the assassin was supposed to attack them. He wondered why he could not hear his sound. The assassin ran with his incredibly light steps. Before our boy knew it, he found a needle in his neck. In the next regression, our boy hears the same annoying song and wakes up. He was not surprised to see that he failed on his first try. Even though he had not improved, his body still remembered everything. He remembered the experience of learning the heart of the beast and the stab. In the next scene, we see Jackson educating him. The man said that a person can gain a lot of information from sound alone. You can tell the location of something based on the intensity and direction of the sound. According to Jackson, once you are able to hear faint and faraway sounds, your ear will become your second pair of eyes. The moment he said this, he snapped his fingers. Our boy was surprised to see this. Jackson explained to him that sound is a wave. This wave rings out in all directions, no matter how silent it is. In the chaos of thousands of sound waves mixed together, Encrid will need to isolate a single sound wave. In the next scene, we see our boy listen to the conversations of his comrades. Our boy closed his eyes and began to meditate. Among the entangled sound waves, Encrid needed to listen, categorize, and isolate them. He heard the sound of the flags. He was not yet able to know the amount of flags that were in the air. He heard some soldiers marching. He noticed that 3 soldiers were close to him and 2 soldiers were far away. Encrid focused on feeling the waves. He focused on the familiar sounds and the unfamiliar sounds. While he was meditating, someone refers to him as Ensi. When our boy opened his eyes, he saw Krang in front of him. The man was holding a sack. He asked our boy about the kind of training he is doing. Our boy asked him about why he called him Ensi. Krang told him that it is a nickname. Encrid asked him to do as he pleases. He told him that he is simply sitting there like an idiot. He asked Krang if he looks like he is training. With a smile on his face, Krang told him that he is not an idiot who wastes time. Encrid glared at him when he heard this. In the night, we see Encrid get stabbed in the neck again with the poisonous needle. He quickly turned to Krang. He watched the man get stabbed by the assassin. In his 33rd try, our boy felt despair. He could not believe that he had failed for 33 times. On his 34th try, Encrid did not hear anything. He failed again and watched Krang die. After trying for a long time, our boy realized that he did not need any more experience to overcome this wall. He did not need divine intervention or any sudden realization. He just needed to repeatedly practice what he was taught. While he was meditating, he opens his eyes. He saw Krang in front of him. The man was surprised to see that Encrid sensed his presence. He asked him about how he knew he was there even though he snuck up on him. Due to the fact that Encrid had his eyes closed for a while, Krang was able to deduce that he was training his perception. He told our boy that he is not an idiot who wastes his time. This word stuck to him. In the next scene, we see the assassin throw his needle at Encrid. Our boy managed to sense the attack and dodge it. He quickly took out his sword from his pillow and rushed to attack the assassin. The man managed to dodge his attack by moving back. The assassin was quite surprised. He could not believe that someone sensed his presence. With a scary smile on his face, Encrid told himself that the assassin is no longer a faceless death. The assassin was annoyed to see that Encrid evaded him. He rushed to attack him. Our boy easily dodged his attack. He quickly realized that this man is not as good in combat as the stabbing pervert. He was certain that he could handle him. Our boy realized that he forgot something. He quickly turned to check the others. Vengeance was already hit by the needle, and Krang was still alive. The man grabbed his sword. Encrid reminded himself that he cannot let his guard down because he is fighting an experienced assassin. The assassin attacked him with a knife. Our boy managed to brush off the attack. He threw one of his knives at him. Encrid was able to dodge the attack, but the knife grazed him in the chest. The assassin did not give him the chance to rest. He rushed to attack him. Before the assassin reached him, someone tore a hole in the tent. Encrid knew that it was his company commander. He decided to attack her. He knew that he would die if he does not stab her first. The woman took out her sword. The assassin asked Encrid if he had a guard. He fired multiple needles at him and the company commander. Our boy was shocked to see this. Some of the needles were also aimed at Krang. Encrid did not know what to do. Before his sword could touch the commander, she jumped over him. She used her coat to block the needles that were supposed to touch Krang and our boy. Encrid could not believe what he was seeing. He assumed that the fairy was with the assassin. He never expected her to protect them. He realized that he now had a chance. He took a stance and rushed to attack the man. The assassin was shocked to see him in front of him. He managed to block Encrid's first attack. He grit his teeth out of anger. He realized that he was outnumbered. He turned around and ran out of the tent. Our boy was surprised to see this. Krang revealed to our boy that the assassin came for him. Encrid told him that he knows. The man was surprised to hear this. He asked him about how he knew. Our boy explained to him that no one will pay an assassin to kill a boot like him or vengeance. The company commander told Encrid that he is correct. She grabbed her sword and told him that he is fast on his feet. Upon seeing how his commander grabbed her sword, Encrid realized that she did not want others to find out that she is an ally. Our boy held his sword tightly. He knew that the fairy did not plan to leave any witnesses. To his surprise, Krang stepped into their middle. He told the woman that he wants to ask her for a favor. With a serious look on his face, he told the commander that he does not want anyone to die here today. The commander bowed her head and accepted his orders. Krang told her that he also doesn't want Vengeance to die. She revealed to him that they have the antidote. She assured him that Vengeance will be fine. Encrid realized that she has knowledge about antidotes. Krang explained to her that they need to clean up the mess. He told her that things will become stressful if others find out that an assassin was there. Encrid asked him if any method is allowed as long as there are no traces left behind. He turned to the candle and told them that there is an easy way out. In the next scene, we see the medical tent burning. The soldiers in the camp quickly grabbed buckets of water and ran to the fire. According to the soldiers, there are only 2 survivors. This 2 happened to be Encrid and Vengeance. With the fire, traces of the assassin has been removed. Our boy believed that the commander and Krang will take care of the aftermath. The scene shifts and we see Krang and the commander walking through the forest. The fairy explained to him that he would have died if Encrid did not slow the assassin down. She asked him if he changed his mind because of our boy. The man told her that he did. He said that he found Encrid to be interesting. While walking, Krang told himself that he has been trying to avoid something. He remembered how our boy used to train. With a smile on his face, Krang said that Encrid has rubbed off on him. While watching the sun rise, the man hoped that he and Encrid would meet again in their respective roles. The scene shifts and we are taken to the world of the mysterious entity. We see a scythe disappear. Encrid watched the being from a distance. This being told him that he will meet someone again. In the real world, our boy thinks about the fact that he has been confronted again by the repeating days. He survived against the faceless death and woke up to the next day's morning. While packing his bags, Encrid realized that he could not sense the fairy's presence even though he could sense most things. He understood that he had a lot to do when he returns to his squad. Fortunately, he was not hurt at all, so he was allowed to return immediately. Before he could leave, Vengeance asked him about why he saved him. Encrid could not believe that the man wanted to start a fight with him because he saved him. He wondered why Vengeance disliked him so much. He told the man that he saved him because they are comrades. He asked him if he needs any other reason to save him. Vengeance was surprised to hear this. He could not believe that Encrid would save him after all the shit he has said. He called our boy a selfless bastard. He asked him if he is returning to his squad. Our boy told him that he is. Vengeance told him that he is out of luck. He said that the vibe is bad outside. Encrid asked him if something happened. The man revealed to him that there are rumors going around that the entire base is cursed. The scene shifts and we see Ragna call someone an underdeveloped monkey. He asked the person to not mess with him. The person turns out to be Rem. Ragna used his hand to hit Rem on his shoulder. The battle junkie smiled when he saw this. The other people around began to run. They said that the crazy squad is fighting again. Someone asked the others about where their squad leader is. He said that they do not behave like this when our boy is around. Rem raised Ragna up and slammed him on a tent. The man quickly stood up and attacked him with a wooden box. Rim blocked the attack and gave him a heavy punch. He took out his axe and told Ragnar that he will decorate his skull with it. Everyone was shocked to see that he brought out his weapon. Ragnar took out his sword and told his teammate that he will split him in half. The soldiers wondered why the other members of the crazy squad weren't stopping the fight. Encrid arrived before they could start fighting seriously. Our boy did not know much about curses, but he felt like his squad was a curse placed on him. He walked up to them and ordered them to stop fighting. The two men were surprised to see their squad leader. Ragnar told him that he thought he already died. Encrid told him that he might go crazy because of them. Guys, we have come to the end of our video. If you guys want more of this recap, let me know in the comments section. Don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button for more recaps. See you guys later.